All right, so let's just cut the crap and get right into it. Real Madrid, you know the name, you know the trophies, but how much do you really know about this insane club?
I mean, most fans probably think it's always been champagne and celebrations in that fancy stadium of
But
theirs.
there's a whole lot more to it than that.
Way more. We're talking about a club that clawed its way up from basically nothing.
Oh, yeah. This was no overnight success story.
Hell no. We're talking over a century of drama, rivalries, and some straight up crazy shit that you wouldn't believe.
So let's rewind all the way back, before the Galacticos, before the Bernabéu, even before they were real.
Back to the very beginning.
Like, where the hell did this whole thing even start?
Well, picture Madrid in 1902.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Football's just starting to catch on.
Yeah.
And you've got this group of, get this, academics and students.
Academics?
Yeah, brainiacs, basically, from this institution called the Institución Libre de Enseñanza.
Fancy.
Right. And they decide, hey, let's start a football club.
Fancy.
So they call it, wait for it, Madrid Football Club.
Simple enough.
I know, right? Not very creative, but hey, they were academics, not marketing gurus.
And little did they know they were about to unleash this, like, monster on the world.
For real, though, those early years were pretty chaotic, even for a bunch of intellectuals.
What do you mean?
Well, for starters, there was already drama brewing before Madrid FC even existed.
Oh, come on, really?
Seriously. Back in 1900, there was this other club, Nueva Sociedad de Football, and some of the members got into a huge fight and split off.
Classic.
And that splinter group, guess what?
Well,
They became Madrid FC.
so basically, Real Madrid was born out of a big old football feud.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Backstabbing and drama from day one.
Some things never change.
Exactly.
So we're talking about a club built by, like, professors and students. Not exactly the image that comes to mind when you think of, Real Madrid's badass reputation today.
True, but don't be fooled by the tweed jackets and spectacles. These guys were competitive as hell, and they quickly started making a name for themselves.
All right, so when did this ragtag bunch of intellectuals transform into the Real Madrid we know and sometimes love?
Ah, that's where the king comes in.
Of course.
Yeah, in 1920, King Alfonso III, the huge football fan, decides to bestow upon his favorite club the title of Realo.
Basically knighted them, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. Gave them the royal seal of approval.
And that's when they got to slap that crown on their badge.
Bingo, instant upgrade from a bunch of nerds to the king's own team.
Talk about a power move. So they had the name, they had the royal backing. When did they actually start, kicking ass on the field?
Well, that all really kicks off with the birth of La Liga in 1929.
Spain's first national league.
Yep, and guess who was one of the founding members?
Let me guess.
Real Madrid, front and center.
Of course they were. Gotta love those OGs.
And get this, they're one of only 3 teams that have never been relegated from La Liga.
Never.
It's
Fucking insane.
no, right?
They've always been top dogs.
Yeah. Along with Athletic Bilbao and Barcelona, they've been untouchable. Talk about setting a precedent.
So they were there from the beginning, never got knocked down. But come on, every dynasty needs a mastermind.
Absolutely.
The puppet master who takes it to the next level.
Right, the guy who turns a good team into a legend. For Real Madrid, that guy was Santiago Bernabéu.
Okay. The name's familiar. I mean, they named the stadium after him, so he must have been a big deal.
Big deal. He was Real Madrid. I mean, literally
What, like he played for them too?
played, captained, managed, directed, you name it. But it was his time as president that really changed everything.
Give me the details.
So picture the Spanish Civil War just ended, the club's in ruins.
Rough start.
Right. But Bernabéu steps up and basically rebuilds the club from the ground up. We're talking a complete overhaul.
Like what, new training facilities, a new stadium, new players?
All that and more. He oversaw the construction of the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium.
The one they still play in today.
The very same. Back then, it was revolutionary, and then there's Ciudad Deportiva, their state-of-the-art training ground.
The birthplace of, like, countless Real Madrid legends.
Exactly. Bernabéu understood that to build a dynasty, you need the best facilities to attract and develop the best talent.
Smart.
Yeah.
So he built them a new home, a training ground fit for, like, gladiators. Basically laid the foundation for the modern Real Madrid. But that's not all, right? This guy was known for being ruthless when it came to signing players.
Oh, absolutely. He had this philosophy. If you want to be the best, you got to have the best players. Simple as that.
And he wasn't afraid to spend big bucks to get them?
Nope. He brought in Alfredo Di Stefano, one of the greatest players of all time.
Legend.
And that was just the beginning. He had this vision for a youth academy that would rival any in the world.
Wait, hold on. World-class signings and a youth academy that's churning out future stars.
Yep, Bernabeu was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. He was thinking long-term, building a legacy that would last for generations, and guess what?
It worked.
Big time. Real Madrid became a European powerhouse under his reign, but that's a whole other story.
Story for another time.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got the early drama, the royal connection, the rise of La Liga, and the mastermind behind it all. What's next in this Real Madrid saga? I'm ready for some serious footballing fireworks.
Buckle up, because we're about to enter the golden age of Real Madrid, where they dominated European football like no other team before or since. All right, so we've talked about Real Madrid's rise in Spain, but the real story, the one that blows your mind, that's on the European stage.
Ah, Europe, the big stage.
Exactly. The Champions League, the holy grail of club football. This is where Real Madrid truly became
Legends.
legends. Straight up.
Okay, so we all know Real Madrid has a ton of these Champions League trophies, but how dominant are we talking?
Okay, brace yourself for this. They've won it a record 15
This
times.
team.
Seriously.
No one else even comes close. It's insane.
It's ridiculous. So it wasn't just about winning a bunch of times. It was how they won, right?
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. Think about this. They won the first 5 editions of the European Cup. Back to back to back to back to back.
From 1956 to 1960, a five-peat. That's unheard of.
Unheard of. I mean, come on, who does that?
So what was their secret weapon? Were they just that much better than everyone else?
It was a perfect storm, tactical discipline, individual brilliance, and this, killer instinct that no one could match.
Like they weren't just playing to win, they were playing to destroy.
Exactly. And their style of play, revolutionary. Plus, they had a roster packed with absolute legends. Di Stefano, Puskas, Gento. These guys were like gods among men.
Yeah, those names are etched in football history.
For a reason.
Give me some of those legendary Champions League moments. I mean, there must be a ton.
Well, how about this? 1960, the final against Eintracht Frankfurt.
Okay, what happened?
They demolished them, 7-3.
7-3 in a European Cup final.
It was a massacre. They were just toying with them at that point. Pure attacking football, a spectacle.
Damn, imagine being on the losing side of that. Talk about embarrassing.
But their dominance wasn't just about brute force. They could also win with style and grace.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The 1966 team, the Yaya team, they were something special. This team was made up entirely of Spanish players, homegrown talent.
No foreigners.
Nope, all Spanish. And they went and won the European Cup for the 6th time.
So they weren't just buying superstars, they were building them too.
Exactly. It was a testament to the strength of Spanish football, and it all came together under Bernabeu's leadership.
All right, so they were kings of Europe, stacking up trophies like it was nothing. But what happened after this golden age? Did they just, fade away?
Fade away. Real Madrid, never.
Okay, so they didn't just disappear, but they didn't stay on top forever.
Well, they had their ups and downs, sure, but they always found a way to come back stronger.
It's like they can't stay down for long.
Exactly. For example, in the late 90s, they were in a bit of a slump.
Every dynasty has a rough patch.
True. So they brought in Fabio Capello, a manager known for his tactical discipline, and boom, La Liga title in 1997.
So they were still a force to be reckoned with in Spain. But what about Europe?
Oh, they were still hungry for that Champions League glory. And in 1998, after 32 long years.
32 years. Damn, that's a long time to wait.
It was. But they finally broke the drought, beating Juventus in the final.
And not just any Juventus team. We're talking prime Juventus.
Exactly. One of the best teams in Europe, and Real Madrid shut them down. That squad was stacked. Roberto Carlos, Vjatovic, Uker, Seedorf, Raul, Hero, Redondo.
Jeez, stop. I'm getting dizzy just listing those names.
Talk about a team overflowing with talent.
So they were back on top of Europe after decades of waiting. That must have felt amazing for the fans.
Relief, joy, vindication.
It was a hell of a moment.
Yeah.
And you know what? They weren't done yet. Just 2 years later, they did it again, this time beating Valencia in an all-Spanish final.
Another all-Spanish final. That's pretty cool.
It was epic. The kings of Europe were back on their throne.
And ready to rule for another era.
But that's when things get really interesting. We're about to enter the era of the Galacticos. The Galacticos. Big names, big egos, big Spending sprees.
You got it. This was Florentino Perez's first stint as president, and he had this vision of assembling a team of global superstars.
It was like a real-life FIFA Ultimate Team.
Seriously. Figo, Zidane, Ronaldo, Beckham, the list goes on and on. They had more star power than a Hollywood blockbuster.
But did it work? I mean, was it all hype, or did they actually achieve something?
It's just a mixed bag, for sure. They won a lot, another Champions League title in 2002, La Liga in 2003.
So early success.
Yeah, but then they hit a rough patch and went 3 seasons without a major trophy.
3 seasons. For Real Madrid, that must have felt like an eternity.
Oh, the fans were not happy. But even though the Galactico era had its struggles on the pitch,
It was a huge success off the pitch.
huge. Perez understood that football was more than just a game. It was a global business.
Smart man.
He turned Real Madrid into one of the most recognizable and valuable brands in the world.
So they were winning in the bank, even if they weren't always winning on the pitch.
Exactly. It was a marketing masterstroke. But what happened after the Galactico era? Did they manage to stay on top? Well, that's a story for part 3. So the Galactico era fizzles out, but Florentino Perez, this guy's got unfinished business. He comes back as president in 2009, and guess what? He ain't done with those big money signings.
Oh no, here we go again. More Galacticos. Didn't we learn our lesson the first time around?
Well, yeah, it was Galacticos 2.0, but with the twist, he still wanted the best players in the world.
Of course he did.
But this time around, there was a method to the madness. He brought in Kaká, a brilliant playmaker.
Yeah, I remember Kaká.
And then, wait for it, he drops a bomb on the football world. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Ronaldo, the Portuguese goal machine. That's a statement signing if I've ever heard one.
It was a power move for sure. But this time, Perez also focused on building a more balanced squad.
So not just superstars.
Nope. He realized you need the grinders, the
Wow.
workhorses, the guys who do the dirty work.
The unsung heroes.
Exactly. And guess what? It worked. Big time.
Okay, I'm listening. Give me the goods.
They bring in Jose Mourinho as manager in 2010, the special one, and shit starts to get real. They win the Copa del Rey in 2011.
Ending Barcelona's dominance in that competition.
Right. And then in 2012, they win La Liga again, their 32nd title.
New record.
Real Madrid was back on top in Spain, but the Champions League, that was still the ultimate goal.
The one that had been eluding them for so long,
They got close, reaching the semifinals 3 years in a row.
but always falling short.
It was like there was a curse or something. But then, in 2014, everything changed. Carlo Ancelotti comes in as manager.
Ancelotti, the Italian maestro.
They signed Gareth Bale to complete that legendary BBC attack with Benzema and Ronaldo.
Bale, Benzema, Ronaldo. Talk about a terrifying front three.
And finally, La Decima, their 10th European Cup.
The curse was broken.
Shattered. After years of heartbreak, they were finally back on top of Europe.
10 Champions League titles. It's hard to even fathom that level of dominance.
But you know, Real Madrid, they're never satisfied.
Always hungry for more.
Always. They win it again in 2016, becoming the first team ever to win back-to-back Champions League titles in the modern era.
Back to back. They were making history.
And they weren't done yet. They win it again in 2018, making it 3 in a row.
The three-peat. Unfucking believable.
It was an era of unprecedented dominance.
But all good things must come to an end, right?
Yeah, Zidane steps down as manager. Ronaldo moves on to Juventus. It felt like the end of an era.
The dynasty was crumbling.
They struggled to find their footing, went through a bunch of managers. It was a tough time for the club.
So even the mighty Real Madrid can stumble. But they always find a way to get back up, right?
Oh, yeah. In 2021-22, Ancelotti comes back as manager, and what does he do? Leads them to another La Liga title and a Supercopa de España.
The comeback was on.
But the real magic happened in the Champions League. They went on this insane run, beating PSG, Chelsea, Manchester City.
All those teams were considered favorites.
Exactly. And in the final, who do they face? Liverpool, a rematch of that 2018 final. They beat them again. 1-0, their 14th European Cup. It was one of the most improbable Champions League wins ever.
14 Champions League titles. I'm starting to run out of words to describe how ridiculous that is.
And guess what? They weren't done. Copa del Rey in 2023, their 36th La Liga title in 2024, and then boom, they win the Champions League again in 2024, their 15th title.
15. It's just not fair at this point. They've won more Champions League titles than most teams have won trophies, period.
It's a testament to their ambition, their ability to reinvent themselves, and their knack for pulling off the impossible.
So what's next for Real Madrid? Can they keep this insane run going?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? They just signed Mbappe, one of the most exciting young players in the world.
Yeah, that was a huge deal.
So who knows what the future holds? One thing's for sure, Real Madrid is never boring. They always find a way to surprise us.
That's why they're the biggest club in the world. Real Madrid, a club with a history as rich and dramatic as any you'll find. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through their insane journey. Until next time.